Have you ever wondered where the chilling tales of vampires truly come from? Beyond the capes and castles of Hollywood, there's a dark, fascinating history that's far creepier than you might imagine. Today, we're sinking our teeth into 5 creepy facts about vampires that will change the way you see these creatures of the night. So, dim the lights, grab some garlic, just in case, and let's dive into the shadows. Our journey begins with the word itself, vampire. While the idea of blood-drinking entities has existed for millennia, the term we use today has surprisingly specific roots. It didn't emerge from ancient Egypt or Transylvania, but from Eastern Europe in the early 18th century. The word vampire or upir first appeared in Serbian, Bulgarian, and other Slavic languages. It was used to describe the restless dead, corpses believed to rise from their graves to torment the living. These weren't charming aristocrats. They were bloated, horrifying figures often described as farmers or peasants who had returned from the grave. The word entered the English language around the 1730s after a wave of vampire hysteria swept through parts of Europe, leading to official investigations and widespread panic. So, next time you hear the word, remember its origins aren't in romantic literature, but in the terrified whispers of villagers convinced their deceased neighbors were coming back to haunt them. Now imagine living in a time when the fear of the dead rising was so real, people took extreme measures to keep them in their graves. This brings us to our second creepy fact, the gruesome burial practices used to prevent a suspected vampire from returning. This wasn't just a matter of saying a prayer, it was a physical, brutal act. Archaeologists have uncovered graves across Europe that reveal these desperate measures. In some cases, bodies were buried with a sharp iron or wooden stake driven through the heart, pinning the corpse to the earth. In others, a large brick or stone was forced into the deceased's mouth. The logic was grimly practical. If the corpse couldn't open its mouth, it couldn't bite or feed. Sometimes a sickle would be placed over the neck, positioned to decapitate the body if it tried to sit up. These weren't mythological tales. They were real practices born from overwhelming fear. People genuinely believed that without these precautions, their loved ones could return as monstrous, disease-spreading fiends. The evidence lies buried, a silent testament to a time when death wasn't always the end. While we often associate vampires with Bram Stoker's Dracula and Eastern Europe, the truth is, the myth of the blood-sucking undead is a global phenomenon. Almost every culture throughout history has its own version of a vampire. In ancient Greece, they had the lamia, a child-devouring demon, and the empusa, a shape-shifting female entity that seduced men before drinking their blood. In the Philippines, the aswang is a terrifying, shape-shifting creature, often a beautiful woman by day who transforms into a horrifying monster at night to feast on unborn fetuses. China has the jiangshi, a reanimated corpse that moves by hopping with its arms outstretched, draining the life force or ki from its victims. From the Brazilian Jaracara to the Indian Vitala, these legends share a common terrifying thread, a creature that defies death and preys on the living for sustenance. This universal fear suggests that the vampire archetype taps into some of our deepest, most primal anxieties about death, decay, and what might lurk in the darkness beyond the grave. It proves that the fear of the night is a language we all understand. So why were people so afraid of these creatures? Beyond the obvious terror of being preyed upon, vampires were often seen as carriers of disease. Our fourth fact explores the link between vampire folklore and real-world epidemics. Think about it. In a pre-scientific era, how would you explain a mysterious illness that spreads through a community, causing victims to waste away, grow pale, and become weak? It must be supernatural. When plagues like tuberculosis or rabies swept through villages, the symptoms often mirrored the signs of a vampire's attack. A victim of tuberculosis or consumption would become pale, thin, and cough up blood, appearing as though their life force was being drained. Similarly, rabies can cause insomnia, agitation, and a fear of water, behaviors easily interpreted as monstrous. When one family member died from an unknown illness and others followed, it was easy to believe the first to die was a vampire, rising from the grave to prey on their own kin. This connection turned the vampire from a simple monster into a symbol of contagion and inexplicable death. a terrifying explanation for the unstoppable spread of disease in a world without modern medicine. Finally, let's talk about a rule that has become a staple of vampire lore. They cannot enter a home without an invitation. This might seem like a strange, almost polite weakness for such a powerful predator, but its origins are rooted in ancient beliefs about the sanctity of the home and the power of thresholds. A person's home was seen as their personal fortress, a sacred space protected from the evils of the outside world. The threshold, the doorway, was a magical boundary between the safe domestic sphere and the dangerous, chaotic wilderness. For a supernatural entity like a vampire to cross that line, it needed permission from the owner, effectively tricking them into surrendering their protection. This rule adds a chilling psychological layer to the myth. The vampire's power isn't just physical, it's also about persuasion and deception. It can't just break down your door, it has to be welcomed in. This turns the horror inward, suggesting that the greatest danger comes not from a monster breaking in, but from the one you willingly invite inside. It's a powerful metaphor for the dangers of misplaced trust and the evil that can hide behind a charming facade. And there you have it. 5 creepy facts that peel back the glamorous veneer of the modern vampire and expose the terrifying folklore beneath. From their Slavic origins to their role as harbingers of disease, the true history of vampires is a dark reflection of humanity's deepest fears. It reminds us that for centuries these weren't romantic figures, but horrifying monsters born from a world of plague, superstition, and a profound fear of the dead. What did you find the creepiest? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next exploration of the unknown. Stay curious and stay safe.